Hey everyone. Welcome to Unique Ways with Thomas Gerard, an audio podcast. Got a super awesome guest today, and I'll describe her. After living this experience every day for years, hidden in a community of neurodiversity, it's time for her to share with others who face the same stigma about hidden disabilities and advocate for change. Acting at the sweet spot between UI UX to create simple and clean work for humans. Please join me in welcoming Terri Rodriguez Hong. Welcome, Terri.
Hey, Thomas. Thank you so much for having me here.
My pleasure. Are you ready for 20 questions?
Yeah, let's roll with it.
Okay, question one. Tell me a little bit more about yourself. What do you do?
Wow. Well, first of all, parent and slash designer. I'm definitely a multitasker at heart. Basically, I'm trying to improve different ways to keep up with work, family, and just, pretty much life in general.
Great. Just a note for our audience, Terri and I met when I was a guest on her podcast. I didn't know anything about the podcasting world, and perhaps I still don't. But at least I'm passionate now. So big thanks there.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah. So question two, what's a key piece of knowledge that makes you different?
Oh, yes. I think this is one of my golden nuggets that basically I don't accept no's. I don't believe in negatives. I don't accept no's, maybe not right now. I only try to see the good of a bad situation. So no matter what situation you might be in, always try to see the positive of it as much as you can.
Great. Yeah, that's a great answer. I should also add that if you're interested in more episodes with podcast hosts, please check out Debbie Millman's episode. She's the host of the long-running podcast Design Matters. Question number three is why this of all things? Why do you do what you do?
That's that's a really good question. This question kind of took me a while just kind of to think about, but for number one, I really love my job as a designer. No matter what I'm designing, I want to help others to get to their end goal and try to get that single task done quickly as possible without any frustration. Because I know when I go through or when I'm doing something and when I get frustrated is like, oh, it doesn't make that experience as happy, the happy one. So that's what I really like to do.
Nice. So people struggle with question four, but the question is, what does your future look like?
Um, that's a really interesting how you mentioned that people really have a struggle with this. But my answer is my future will always change, right? And no matter what's going on, always try to look at the sunny side of things whenever possible because our future is always changing. Nothing's pretty much set in stone. So just kind of roll with it.
Yeah, it's super interesting, isn't it? I mean, I feel like we were talking at least if it wasn't pre-pandemic, it was really early on with pandemic, and now we're kind of at least in Canada, we're approaching this post-pandemic phase, and I think everybody's kind of trying to know what their future looks like in terms of the post-pandemic. So it makes it an interesting one.
Absolutely.
Question five, I say, is unique to this podcast. The question is, let's talk about location. How does the notion of place play into what you do?
Oh, wow. That can be like a lot of things, but for me, location is actually where of your mind is at, right? So again, it starts with your mind and then always about your own attitude, basically how I see things in this world and basically just in my life. Um, so just towards anybody, it's we control how the way we feel. We control of our own reactions and our own emotion. So again, I think location it just starts the placement. in your mind.
Great. Question 6. If you had to start from the beginning, what advice would you give your former younger self?
I would say definitely don't stress too much. Definitely write things down into a timeline. So at any point, you can go back and you can take a look at it because life changes, right? Our future changes. So again, don't stress. Do what you need to do and just write down your thoughts because those can always change.
Nice. 7. What's your day in the life like?
Oh wow. I think out of all the questions, I think this one was the hardest one for me because being as a parent, as a designer, and podcaster as well, definitely comes with busy, fun, hectic, family, friends. Definitely taking naps, doing art projects, learning new things, and going back to school.
Great. Number 8, lifelong learning is a popular topic these days. How do you stay up to date?
Um, yeah, by me, it's just going through Twitter, going through, just social media, but also too on the other end, for me, on a personal level, just going back to school, I'll be my second master's in HCI, and definitely schooling has helped me kind of open my eyes, um, to do like different things and stuff.
Great. Number 9, what tools do you use? Are you both digital and analog?
Yeah, a little bit of both. But I pretty much using my iPad, and my MacBook, and sometimes a notebook, and stuff like that. So a little bit of both.
Halfway. Number 10, how do you deal with work-life balance?
That is actually a really easy one. My calendar, my reminders, try to stay calm, but sometimes that doesn't always work. And just having a really good support system around me.
11, if you weren't doing what you do now, what would you be doing?
Oh wow, my goodness. Maybe I would be like of a horse trainer. I've always loved horses. Of when I was younger, to be in the outdoors and really see how those animals just, the movement and the stealth.
12, what would you not like to do with your career?
What would I not like to do with my career? That one, I don't know. I'm doing it right now, so I don't really have an answer to that one. I think the only thing I can think of is maybe not get junk mail.
Hmm, nice. Number 13, do you have a favorite word, quote, or sentence?
Yeah, that will be by MJ, Michael Jordan. Um, one of the quotes I read in one of his books is basically, "I cannot accepting not trying."
How about a least favorite word, quote, or sentence?
Um, Least favorite word quote. Um, well, well, maybe it's not a quote, but when I scroll through social media, and when somebody has something kind of positive say, there's like of a troll on there that always picks like the humbug kind of stuff. So maybe of a Grinch roll, like, well, you know it's just trying to take it with a grain of salt and trying to be a little bit more positive.
15, if you had to pick one word to describe yourself, what word would you choose?
Determination.
Great. What keeps you up at night?
Not taking my naps. I love my naps.
Nice. Final stretch here. Number 17, what's a dream you're chasing?
Oh, um Just to be a better human being, I guess. Just making sure I am that support system for others as much as possible.
18, what inspires you?
Hearing other people's stories, no matter what age they are, no matter what line of work, I think stories are very powerful and you can always learn from them.
Any advice you'd like to share?
Yeah, there's definitely one thing. If there's something that anybody wants to do, don't give up on it. Just because somebody says no, or just because it's just not right now, it can happen. So just don't give up.
Yeah, I second that one. And number 20 is the promotional piece. How can our listeners keep tabs on you? How can we check out your stuff?
Yeah, no, as Thomas said earlier, Lazo and I, we have a podcast called Ramblings of a Designer. That's where we're at. You can check me out on LinkedIn or on Twitter and you can use my name. And then my Twitter handle is just Flax and Ink.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Terry. I had such a great time on your podcast, and that was one of my early kind of guesting episode attempts on a podcast, and I had so much fun, and in a way that inspired this podcast, which has been such a good passion project for me. So thank you so much.
No, you're welcome. I'm definitely glad that you are doing um, podcasting because it is a lot of fun. So again, if anybody wants to doing a podcast and they're like, "Oh, I don't know what to do," just do it. Just do it, and you'll figure out things as you go, and you meet fabulous people, and you can hear their own amazing stories as well.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Okay, aloha.